It's an immense pleasure for me to invite you all to this one of the novel session in the IMC, and we are going to talk and we are going to present an exciting future of the telecom labs. It would be very much interesting. It will be like a thought-provoking event. So thank you once again, everybody, for coming. I request Tripti Saxena, Madam, Senior DDG, TEC, to formally inaugurate the session with her few blessings, and then we will start the session. Thank you.
Good morning, dear panel members, all the audience. Labs, actually, as you know, they are the foundational stone for any technological development, be it telecom, be it anything else. Labs are the places where innovations are turned into reality and into commercial ventures, and then scaled to profitable businesses. For any innovation, first you have to have the lab, you have to have the standards, you have to check the standards in the labs. In telecom also, we have come a very long way, and particular types of labs are very important in telecom. These days, 5G labs are coming up, labs for testing of security, labs for testing safety of the devices, labs for testing effects on the devices of another device or on the effects of device on the network, labs for testing EMF, labs, besides this, labs for testing, now these days, artificial intelligence is a part of any industry. So labs for testing security, data security, labs for testing privacy, all these things, you understand that labs are very, very important for any engineering venture. I'll now invite all the panel members to start the discussion and inform all of you about the details of the labs with significant insights. Thank you. All the good wishes.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I would like to invite the panelist, Mr. Lenin Raja. I request him to come onto the dais. Lenin Raja is a very well-known figure in the telecom and EMIMC. He is a doctorate in EMIMC. He had been into the industry, and I think there is no need of further introduction to him because he himself is very, very well-known figure in the. I request Mr. Sudhir Jutsi to come onto dais. He is a Director Policy Strategy, UL Labs. He is also TIC Council member, one of the very well-known person in the field of conformity assessment. He has a global exposure. He works with FMCG and direct sales. He is a member in FICCI, and he is a very, very India's Apex Industry Association. And he had been into this field of conformity assessment for very long. He is known, a very well-known figure across the globe. I request Dr. Muthu. Muthu Kumar is a founder of WAN Mega Networks Incubator at IIT Madras Research Park. He has 23 years of experience. He worked in HCL, Wipro, and ODC, Juniper, and several such top corporations. And he himself has founded and started a 5G core lab, 5G RAN, and Open RAN, network function virtualization, etc. in IIT Madras. He is a member of ORAN Alliance, ONF, and TSDSI. And before just getting into the sessions, we have another important person with us, like Mrs. S. Indu. She is the Vice Chancellor of DTU. I think I request her to give a good wishes and greetings just before we getting into the session.
Very good morning to all of you. And actually, I am overwhelmed with the strategy and the way this exhibition has been maintained and connecting all over the India and all over the world. So this thought process itself is really, really good, and connecting around 100 institutes in India. This is going to make a revolution in the coming industrial growth of India. And I am really thankful to our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji for taking this initiative. And for this is actually, maybe this will be this will make India become maybe world number 1 very soon in the technological growth. And I am thankful to him for giving Delhi Technological University as also making a part of the 100 use case UG labs. And definitely we will work out, and we will we will not disappoint him. We will come out very well in this. And thank you very much. And congratulations for the success of this IMC for the organizers.
Thank you, Mrs. Sindhu. Thanks for your presence. Let us get into our session. We have eminent speakers waiting to talk with us, and they will open our eyes how the future would be. It is fascinating to look into the future, and in the dream of New India, Atmanirbhar Bharat. It is really a great pleasure to follow the great leadership call of Atmanirbhar Bharat. So, on this precious, exciting times, we are really interested to talk about the future of telecom labs. I request Mr. Muthukumar, Network Head, IIT Madras, Pravartak, Chennai, to give his presentation.
Okay, thanks for this opportunity. And today we are going to look in the high level what is test as a service. Okay, so before that, so before that, I would like to talk about a little bit about IIT Pravartak. IIT Pravartak is a company hosted by IIT Madras under DST, Department of Science and Technologies, Technology Innovation Hub. IIT Pravartak is focusing on sensors, networks, actuators, and control systems. So I am heading the network part, and we are part of the IIT Research Park ecosystems. Okay, so we get into the task. Why we need a task? Okay, test is always there. Test is in mechanical industry, test is in everywhere, but why it has become a service and now? Well, if you look into that, the semiconductor industry started and it is given way to microprocessor, then it has become a software. Then India get into the software in 1980s, and in 2023, if you look around, everything is software. You touch anything, you have a hardware plus software. So the softwareization of technology, if you take 5G, the core is fully softwareized, and even in the RAN side, people are talking about software-defined radios. So the software is slowly getting into every way, so the softwareization needs a lot of testing. Then another thing is the software is becoming distributed across the places. That earlier there is a concept called monolithic, now people are going to microservices and distributed. So the software is talking across places through the APIs. So that will enable more complexity in the systems. So we need to test multiple parts of the network or of the software. The third one is sort and release cycles. In 2000, 2003, the hardware product development, if you want to develop a product, a router or switch, it takes 18 months to 36 months. Today, we are able to do it in 3 months. If you take a SOC verifications, it takes 18 to 24 months. Now it has become 12 months. If we talk about software, we don't know how frequently they are updating. 30 minutes, 45 minutes. So that means we need to make testing as quickly as possible, as relevant as possible. Okay, the CI/CD pipeline automations made a bigger role in this sort of the release life cycles. And the last one is end-to-end testing, because we are changing very frequently each and every part of the software or hardware. But in the functionality wise or compliance wise, security wise, we need to do the end-to-end testing. So this and all lead to that more pressure on the test. So with that is the solution, we're coming with the test as a service. So what it is test as a service? Test as a service is a cloud-based software testing model in which a third-party service provider performing testing. Why can't we do in-house? If I want to do in-house, I need to bring all investments, equipments, expertise, everything. If you want to be accelerate your product development life cycle or standard verification, we should go to the third party, and also we are going to the experts who have that niche area. If you want to test any 5G RAN, right, we need to test EMI, EMC, protocols, security. We cannot able to get everything in a single place. So the distributed model is going to help us. So how it is being done? Okay. So in today's lab, if you take all the processes is done in the lab itself. But when we go for a test as a service, the starting point and landing point alone will be taken care by the lab. Remaining things will be given to the vendor itself, the person who is going to bring that software or hardware for testing. So it makes everybody's life easier. If you look into the process, right, normally whenever we start testing that network, we need to set the topology and we need to configure all the systems in the topology. This is we call as a test environment setup. Normally when the lab is already have this, so we can leverage this. So in this standard compliance testing, every time we are going to get a new device under test. Vendor 1, vendor 2, everybody have their own configuration. So we can provide the config templates so that they upload their configuration in a YAML or JSON file and upload it into the configuration management system. We can work out the background scripts that will plug into our environment. So the interoperability, that compliance, that all these things will be taken care. So it will reduce the time of manual configuration. The third thing is test suite selection. So this onwards we are given the control to the vendor. So he says that I want to get a compliance of TECE or 5G core. I want to get the compliance of OpenNFP. He go and select the test suite by himself and he execute that. Since it's a kind of a background automated environment, it will run automatically. And good thing is the technical people want to know what is happening inside. If I say pass or fail, they always ask why it is failed, give me a log. So we upload the log automatically in the system so that they can analyze the logs, so that they know what is happening inside. Then if they do some changes in the product, they will rerun the test cases. Only the failed test cases they will rerun and they make sure that it is true. Once all the test cases are passed, they will generate the report. The reports are getting automated. The templates will be there so that they can get the report. Once the reporting is done, then they can go for the certification. We can even generate the certification online or we can submit to the TEC or any authority. They will verify and sign it. So this will add a lot of good things about it. It's a transparent testing. So when we say this is the log, there is no question of whether it is pass or fail. And other things is, even though it is remote, we are all connecting to the VPN, IP VPN or MPLS VPN list lines, so the lines will be secured. And the third point is optimal resource utilization. It is for both lab and also vendor. They don't want to bring people to the lab to test it. They can access remotely. They can even bring experts from across the world to verify the logs. And better return on investment. One of the biggest challenges for labs is the return on investment and CapEx. So when we open up the lab for remote access with all the security in place, it is benefit for the lab. Then once we put the system in automation mode, automatically the reports will get generated and we can get the consolidated report and we can do the trend analysis and we can do the correlation. So that are all the benefits which you can get out of this process. So in the summary, the benefits are anytime, anywhere testing. Once it is in internet, people ask from anywhere. We don't want to bound saying that this is at India Space Lab. Even the India-friendly countries can be used in this lab. Then plug and play. You bring your device or you can ship your device to that lab, plug it, put the configuration template, the configuration will be up and running. You can start your testing. And report and analysis, as we said, we can generate, because of the dashboard culture and the data analytics, we can able to generate a lot of reports out of it, which when we do manually, that is not possible. Once we collect the log, we can apply the AIML and we can understand a lot of insights about that product or the features or the security aspects. And cost effective. So that is one of the biggest things the labs are coming together. And another thing is sharing resources and expertise. If you look into the European Union, in the last 10 years, there are 250 plus labs are built for 5G and they invested billions and billions of dollars and they are sharing the knowledge across the industry, academia, standard. So that's why they are able to be a little bit ahead of the technology always. So now we are taking the first step, but once we follow the best practice and other things across the world, we are able to catch up quickly. So what the world is doing, ITU formed this focus group for testbeds federations in 2021 and currently it is going in active mode. So there are three work groups are there: use cases, applications, industry demand, and business models. So this is the group. It's starting coming with that, the same pattern, whatever we are going to do, why we want to do, all these things. And a test bed as a service. That is the second group. I recommend that TEC and the authorized bodies can be part of that group and contribute. And the third group, the API and reference model initiations, so that we technical people go and contribute. If you guys enable, we are able to contribute on behalf of India. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Muthu Kumar. And we have a proof of concept demo in IIT stall. I request everybody to go and see how we can test sitting in Delhi, DTU somewhere, and the lab somewhere. We can test and take the report and print your certificate instantaneously. In these days of instant delivery, if we designate lab for 2 years and if we issue a test certificate for within 2 years, by the time technology gets outdated, we will have to evolve. Otherwise, we will be thrown out from the society. So we are here to meet the social needs. And I'm so glad that I'm really excited and I'm so happy that we have a very important dignitary with us, Ms. Sangeeta. She's Director General of Nepal Telecom. She had consented to attend. I welcome her and I request everybody to welcome. She came along with her team to look at our session. Thank you so much. Thanks for Sangeeta ji. Thank you. And now I request Mr. The second panel is by Jutsi. We'll quickly complete our panel talks, and then I want to spend more time on interaction. You can question everything. If we don't question, we don't evolve. So kindly, I'm giving more time towards the questioning. So I request Mr. Jutsi kindly.
Honorable dignities on the dais and off the dais. It's an honor and privilege for UL Solutions to be present and to be the part of this esteemed panel and share some perspective with respect to conformity assessment. First of all, I saw the theme Sewa Vishwas ke Saath. I think there's a lot of onus and accountability on the labs. So thank you very much, Prashantji, for bringing that perspective, Sewa Vishwas ke Saath. So after hearing my colleague speak about the software as a service testing, I wanted to sort of give a perspective in terms of what are the global best practices in conformity assessment, why we are sharing this topic in the sense that I think India is not only looking at making India as a manufacturing hub, but we're also looking at how do we become an outsourcing hub in terms of telecom products. And that's precisely the reason we have to be, I mean, you're talking about futuristic labs, we are talking leveraging AI, ML, but we're also talking about how do we embrace global best practices. We are not here sharing that A country practice or B country practice. It has to be an India customized best practice in conformity assessment. With that, so I think we have to understand how the regulatory paradigm is becoming much more futuristic, and that's why I think India has to take a leapfrog in that direction. If I take a specific example in this slide, you know, why I'm saying we need to embrace complexity. Let's talk about a smart lens. A futuristic smart lens, it will have an antenna, it will have an energy storage device, it will also have maybe a solar small panel module, and then we have safety related stuff, IMC. Now, that's where we are talking about a complexity of, you know, devices. And that's why we are talking about, so it's not about a telecom device today. It can be, it has got safety issues, it's got IMC issues, it has also got RF issues. But tomorrow when you're talking about a medical device, a smart lens is a medical device, but that doesn't, it can be a telecom device, it can be an energy device. So that's the complexity we are looking at, and that's the reason that it's very, very important for the standards making. It's not about the telecom standards making, but it's also the standards which are being made in other sectors, whether it is energy storage, whether it is medical devices. There's a need to sort of, you know, embrace that complexity, and we have to come together in the sense when these complex devices are in the market. I think I always touch upon this slide because this is a fundamental slide on anything conformity assessment. Now, if we are wanting to develop a robust conformity assessment, this I call as tick house. This is testing, inspection, certification house. We call it a tick house. It has got a base, which is basically the standards, and standards is the key. And we are talking about globally harmonized standards. And if you see, this has got 3 pillars. One is the accreditation pillar, another is the conformity assessment pillar, and third is the surveillance. And the roof of this test tick house is because at the end of the day, what we are wanting to achieve is consumer safety. We want trade facilitation and industry growth. And I think Prashant sir and his team, and of course, ma'am, at the DGTEC are working in that direction of developing a conformity assessment framework, which is robust, which meets India's needs, and which is much more futuristic, and we are able to cater to the global markets. Yes, we know Honorable Prime Minister's vision. We know where we are heading in the direction. I saw also today's in Economic Times, it mentioned direction wants to get into 6G. I'm also happy to see that VinFast, Vietnam-based company, is wanting to invest, explore markets in India. We work very closely with them in Vietnam. At the end of the day, what we want to achieve with this conformity assessment framework, we want, first of all, we have to prioritize national interest. We want to promote consumer safety. We want to facilitate industry competitiveness. We want to facilitate trade. We want to encourage innovation. And we want to move with markets and technologies. I just wanted to sort of, share with the August audience out here is that we need to see how public-private partnership plays a very, very critical role. I think if we want to bring speed to manufacturing, if we want to have greater market access, if we want to have new products, new technologies, we don't want to stifle innovation because sometimes, I understand with standards, we stifle innovation. We want to have new products in the market. There's a need for more public-private partnership. And the need for, and we see the countries like what's happening in USA, Brazil, and other parts, how public-private partnership in standards, in conformity assessment, or in market surveillance helps to sort of bridge that gap. And doesn't mean that we need to follow one market. That's what I said. I made it very clear that India has to have its own model. But what's in the interest of manufacturers? What is the interest of country? That's the model we have to evolve and adopt. I also thought, since I'm talking about public-private partnership, I thought I will quickly give an example. How are telecom products certified in multiple markets? And you can see FCC process. And we can have questions offline, but I think I just wanted to give the background in terms of how public-private partnership plays a very, very critical role in these markets as well. We can see EUC model. We can talk about the China model as well. We can see the Philippines also, how they leverage, they leverage FCC reports also after. And some of the markets, that's what I said. Some of the markets may say, well, we want to have in-country testing or in-country certification. Some of the markets will say, no, we don't want to have in-country testing. We would accept international reports, trusted sources reports. And some of them say, well, we can have test reports from outside. We can have, we can do certification here. Some of the markets will say, well, we have all the 3 models. And that's what somewhere Brazil, and if you see, they do adopt those different kinds of models in terms of conformity assessment. Because Prashant sir mentioned about that we don't want to, if we see some of the products and being tested, whether it is with different regulators, it takes the tag to the market. The manufacturer at the end of the day has to launch the market in the product. A mobile phone today launched in the market, imagine if it takes 6 months for a battery testing. I'm being very hypothetical, but I know a battery takes, a tag for a battery is around 3 to 4 weeks, Rohit? It's 4 weeks, precisely. And I'm not saying that we do it in 2 weeks. That's highly unethical. Because the standard subscribes that you have to do these tests, which are important for a battery to test it, it takes 4 weeks. It will take 4 weeks, and we will not make any compromise on doing that as a commitment to, or being a responsible labs, because we want India to be one of the world-class testing infrastructures. And because if you see countries like Japan, Taiwan, Korea, or for that matter other countries, how they have accelerated in product innovation, product development, or product launching because they have state-of-the-art testing infrastructure in the country. And I think we have to make commitment to develop that state-of-the-art testing and conformity assessment in this country. And that's why we will not compromise on certain testing parameters. And I'm being very passionate about it because this is very close to my heart. If you see Brazil, and that's what I said, the models are evolving. We'll have to see as a country which models are important to us. We have to have consultation with the manufacturers. We have to have consultation with the stakeholders, regulators, to understand what's the best model for India to speed up, to ramp up. If you see in the India Mobile Congress, a lot of new products have been launched. I'm so excited to see, the Jio stall, to see the Airtel stall, to see how new IoT Airtel. I was at the Airtel shoot, not promoting a particular company, but I'm just saying I'm so fascinated and excited to see what's happening. India is growing. India's story is here. So therefore, we as test testing labs also have a great responsibility to ensure that we are cater to the future needs of these manufacturers. I think this is very, very important to also understand that oftentimes there are questions raised in terms of, well, this is a particular device, it has got a safety testing, it has got IMC testing, but then it has got energy efficient testing as well. But then it falls under different regulators. And that is the conundrum, and sometimes that's the big bone of contention for all of us to solve. Well, how do we solve that? But then if you take example of Japan, or if I take even an example of Taiwan, they do also have the same situation. I think it's very, very important for all of us to come together to consensus and work closely with different ministries, whether it's Ministry of Electronics or whether it's Department of Telecommunication, Ministry of Power for Europe Energy Efficiency, in the interest of consumers, in the interest of manufacturers, in the interest of regulators, that we are able to solve these problems, because we do have ministries overlaps in multiple geographies as well. With that, I just wanted to, outstanding work, I must say, because we have been working very closely with TEC for a long, long time, and I am sure my colleague Lenin and other lab fraternity people, I'm given to understand there are some lab fraternity members also sitting in the audience as well. They will understand that it was a humongous task. It was a humongous task, and I really want to appreciate TEC for their incredible work which they have done for so many years. And I think we are marching ahead in that direction of having more and more labs. I know there are challenges. I know there are gaps in certain testing parameters. I know we will go there, but I think if you see the number of safety labs, EMIMC labs, SAR labs, interface labs, it is an incredible work in terms of developing those test protocols, test parameters, and on top of that, we pushing them, manufacturers pushing them, everybody pushing them, but I think we must appreciate the work which TEC has done so far. With those words, thank you very much for this opportunity, and I hand over to Prashantji. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jutsi. It has always been an encouraging, and the presentation that are going to come are very, very interesting. Yeah. So I request Mr. Lenin to further take up next session. Mr. Lenin also will share us how your labs can be empaneled with the international agencies like accreditation agencies.
Thank you so much, Prashant, sir, to give this opportunity. Good afternoon to everyone. So my colleague Sudhir, it's clearly mentioned about what are the various regulations we were talking about, what are the various regulations, the various globals, and what is that? He mentioned about what are the certifications we have to obtain for the different countries in his free glance, I think. Particularly, I can mention from the slide number 7 onwards, he is mentioning that. But being a testing laboratory, it's a challenge. So I'll invest the money, and then I'm expecting some business from India. But what is that? When we consider about the global market as well as maximum manufacturers from the global side, then how can I get my ROI? That is the biggest challenge. But we can get our ROI by this way. I'll start from my presentations. It is how to make Indian labs to obtain the global accreditations. Because if you are consider the CE marking, I always say that the CE marking also have that no abbreviations of CE marking. If you are interact with any European norms manufacturer as well as in European peoples, they have the confusion what is the abbreviation of CE. Either certification of Europe or otherwise means a certification to conformity. They don't have the abbreviations. Because that is a self-declarations. But in the self-declaration, in the sense, some of the products, especially the medical devices, you have to obtain the reports and testings from some reputed laboratory, which is who can accredited by the global MRA ILAC. But the telecom forum, why I am talking about the medical devices, now you can't segregate telecom to any other devices. If we are talking about the automotive, yes, V2X is there, telecom is there. If you are talking about medical devices, nowadays the ECG devices contained within Bluetooth and then Wi-Fi. So telecom, it's inbuilt and automatically considered in the part of any devices. Even though defense, we have the defense radar, always that communication is there. So now you can't separate the communication from any other different sector like automotive or medical or defense sectors or there is in consumer products. So if you are taking the example in this room, how many different products, means I can say that in this LED light, CISPR 15 standard is applicable. I'm talking, means in this microphones, earlier CISPR 22. Now it's a new standard is CISPR 32. I have my display devices CISPR 32. I have speaker audio video system. Earlier CISPR 22, now is CISPR 32. So various standards, various regulations, and different countries. So being a laboratory, how can I get my ROI from this? Only the way to obtain the international accreditations. Don't confuse my talk with Sudhir, because he talked about multiple regulations. Every country, they have their own regulations, such as Anatel for Brazil, they have their own regulations. Small country Vietnam, they have their own regulations. KCC for Korea, they have their own regulations. FCC USA, ISCD Canada, RCM regulations for Australia and New Zealand. So every country, they have their own regulations. From India, how can I support to my global customers from my same equipment, my same investment, my same engineer, my same product? I have to going to serve for my customers for the multiple country acceptance of compliance. That is what my talk. So multiple accreditations from the designated accreditation bodies. Again, I mentioned designated accreditation bodies. You have to be careful on it, because in FCC, they were clearly declared that only in these 3 accreditation bodies only they are going to accept it. They are not at all going to be accepted any other body, because of MRI issues or the reason because of their in-country regulations. So in this A2LA, NAVLAB and then ANAB, these are the 3 accreditation body. If you can obtain your certifications, if you are obtain your accreditation from this body, it will be easily accepted for your FCC regulations. You no need to be go for the new equipments. There is no regulation to go for means a new money investment and all. The same existing thing, you can able to easily obtain that certifications. Another one is additional global, something speller is there, another additional global standards within similar global standards. For an example, if you are talk about in India, we are in TEC, we are very clearly mentioned about FCC standards and then HC standards, and as well as in our own standards. Means there are some similarities. If you are go here, I can tabulate it. For an example, if customers come to me for the testing for Indian TEC regulations, the same report, it will be accepted by another 120 countries. There is no requirement to do the testing or redo the testing again for in this testing, because what are the things we are going to do for our Indian mandatory regulations, same thing is applicable for the CE marking also, only except in this 3 testing. So in this TEC certification, the people talk about in industry, TEC is more, mention lot of standards and lot of certifications. But if you see, in this 3 important testing, it's not at all part of the TEC, because of, we are only talk about the telecom products. We are not at all talk about any other, means power level products or otherwise any other, means like luminary products. So in these cases, harmonics, flickers, and means power frequency, magnetic field, and means these are the 3 standards is not at all applicable, not at all required for the TEC requirements. So if you are completely obtaining these standards, you can able to serve CE as well as you can able to serve for the TEC requirements. If we talk about in the radio side, we simply adopted HC standards. So in this HC standards, it's equivalently you can serve for your RED 53 regulations. So there is no additional investment. It is an equivalent standard, same HC standards, same RED 53. In RED regulations, they were mentioned in this standard as a part of self-conformity, but here is a mandatory. This is the difference. But some of the products, if you are talking about especially point-to-point, it is a standard is mentioned as a point-to-point. Means 302217 standards. If you are obtained the certification here, you can able to serve for your all the European countries as well as in Africans. The same report, it will be accepted to RCM certification, we call it as in Australia and New Zealand. You don't need to go for any other additional regulations once you need to be obtained a different accreditation. So benefits, we can mention single roof compliance in this single roof compliance in single roof, in the sense, your compliance for the TEC regulations as well as you have to be able to support your customer for the global regulations. So it don't need to be go for the additional investment, same equipments, same engineer, same testing time, as well as means the same EUT. You just serve within different standards. In TEC, we talk about EMI, IMC standards. We have our own standard, that is TEC SD DD 221 October 16 standard. It's our EMC standard. The same standard derived into CISPR 32 and then 61000 series, which is nothing but your HCEN 301 489 or authorization 301 386 standards, which is you can predominantly support it for your telecom product as well as in broadcasting products. And international exposures, because means I know my colleague friends is here, they have came from the MNC laboratories, but we are being Indian labs. Being Indian labs, we can give the competition to the international exposures to obtain the multiple accreditations. Full capacity utilization, in the sense that some of the people they may complain that means we are investing and we are not at all utilized. Once you are means obtain that multiple accreditations, you are not only going to serve for Indian requirements, you can be able to serve for the international requirements also. So this is the total mandatory, global mandatory certifications. It's mainly required for the ICT products. Means we can mention about in CE for RED 53 and RED 43 and RED means EU 30. This is for all the CE and then UKCA requirements. Same thing for FCC part 15. B for unintentional and then C and then E for the intentional frequencies. If you have the test hub or there is a test facility to set up for TEC, then you can easily able to serve for global requirements for CE, UKCA as well as in FCC and then ISCD. So global product testing in India is easy to other nations. Why? Because we already have the developed and then matured standards and then adapted standard by global. And cost-effective solutions compared to the Western nations, because of manpower cost is very, very less in India when compared to Western regions as well as in European region, as well as in US and Canada. So potential manpower, we have lot of manpower in India and compared to US, because earlier days we are also went to in abroad to serve for as an engineer, test engineer, compliance engineer. Nowadays we have the opportunity in India, then why should we have to go and then drive to abroad? So we can serve from India, so manpower cost is less, as well as we can able to support for our global customer from India itself. And effective time management is possible because, which is matured standards, you already tested for the matured standards, then unmatured standard is very easy, otherwise new standards are very easy. So one standards I have to mention, that is our radio regulations. The testing process, marketing access, and testing product and marketing access, which is already mentioned by Sudhir. And just welcome to all the Indian manufacturers as well as all the Indian laboratories. You wanted to please become to make India as a testing hub. To make India as a testing hub, because we have all the matured standards in any product. 175 products, we mention about 322 standards. Mandatory 322 standards from the TEC side. So thank you so much to TEC to make in this unmatured standard into the matured level, and thank you so much to TEC to make in this MTCD program in the viable level. You are doing very good jobs, and we have to go in another slight direction path, right paths, and we can make a success India become a testing above global. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lenin. You had always been a very great encouragement to TEC. Yeah, we have a guest from Nigeria, Usman Mehman. I would like to welcome him with the claps, like he is also with us, he joined us. Thanks, we have very good gathering and with a lot of international presence as well. I'm really proud of this event. And now, ICT test infrastructure, future and opportunities. This is what actually I would like to talk. And this is me. So I would like to draw your attention, especially lab fraternity and OEMs, because we have Mr. Goyal. He represents both from industry as well as lab association, so he is the best guy to put in questions. So my presentation has 3 questions, 4 video clips to keep you awake, to make it very interesting, and then 1 conclusion. So let me walk into this. So the first question is the elephant in the room questions. I have identified 3 questions. What are the stumbling blocks to develop ICT infrastructure in this country? Number 1 is this I have formulated, and if you also have something, you're welcome to come and tell me if they have any further problems. One is investment and business viability. It is a agrophobic wide of labs economic model. It's like a chicken and egg story. Everybody talks like you start first mandatory, then I will start lab, and it's like there is no lab because that's why I can't do the mandatory testing. So this is one question. The other elephant in the room question is diverse technology availability. See, like it's a very, very vast. Telecom is no more remained as a telecom. It has become an universal technology. It is an ubiquitous technology for human existence. And telecom has metamorphosed to a software. It has actually, so I will touch upon that eventually. So best thing is comfort clinging, and because there is no permanent marriages happens in technologies. And policy uncertainties. It's like a stick or twist. Nowadays, I think we all should know, I think every one of us undergoing FIT. FIT is something like a Facebook-induced trauma, something like that. Everybody talks about a problem like there is a policy uncertainty because you don't unroll MTCT, there is no fund support, there is no market availability in India. So several such questions are basically a perception level questions. I call them as a FIT questions, that is Facebook-induced trauma. This is one of the psychological facts that's going around nowadays. And next thing is, so as a public policy professional, a career bureaucrat, it is my job to bring at a policy perspective to this. There is a very famous concept called Pareto efficient policy. This policy is something like this: an economic state where resources cannot be reallocated to make one individual better off without making at least one individual worse off. So always the question is like, you are supporting labs, OEMs will come and say like you are supporting OEMs. So that's why we are not able to unroll. So what as a public policy professional, what is my responsibility is, my responsibility is to predict the market potential, growth, tech trends, finance flow, change in demography, citizens' behavior. We have already entered into a ESG civilization globally, that is environment, social governance. I will talk about it further. And my job is to educate and offer the most exciting opportunities in the industry and make viability becomes tangibility. And we as a government, we want to build your businesses, brands along with my nation brand building. So this is actually a giant effort. I request everybody to join me. So another thing that as a policy professional I can look at is like policy funding interventions. So this is, and my second question, this is leading me to other question is, can we make ICT labs an existing business? If yes, how? What should I do? So I would like to talk and show you some few small clips. It is 1 or 2 minutes clips. I think I'll show you one. This is social governance. Sound.
As you can see, we've innovated and retooled almost every part of our process to reduce our impact on the planet. But there's still a lot more work to do.
And there's something else we wanted to share with you.
You're not trying to bribe Mother Nature with Apple swag.
It's Apple's very first carbon neutral product.
I want to see you do more of this.
You will.
When?
By 2030, all Apple devices will have a net zero climate impact.
All of them?
All of them.
They better.
they will.
Okay, good. See you next year. Don't disappoint your mother.
You must have watched, it's a very famous advertisement that is running around in the Apple phones. Apple is contemplating too much and they are investing a lot of money on ESGs, that is environmental social governance. Now, my question is like, how can I make, what kind of opportunities I can open before you for the labs to become more economically viable businesses in India? So environmental social governance based development model, we are entering into the new civilization. Do you know there are 1,255 ESG regulations. Each regulations have several tests. So there is another concept, like the way we have a citizens have a passport, there is a concept called product passports. Products and service passport. Tomorrow, see the new civilization of ESG regulations globally, how they are governing is, tomorrow, if you want to export a product, your product or manufacturer, you need to have a passport for that. Otherwise, no nation will export it. What is passport? It talks about the history of right from the material science. So if there is in the eventuality of the dispute, who will have to certify that? It's the labs. Labs are not just only to talk about it's not just only a hardware test, including software. If there is a dispute between two companies about their own software products, who will have to resolve this? It is not judiciary. Judiciary, the jurisprudence has also moved into technocracy. So if to make you understand, if somebody who is not familiar with SCPs and FRAND, I think next thing is, I have talked about the ESGs. The next one is metamorphism, because telecom has alchemized into a software. Open RAN, open technologies. This actually, it has just become a software. It's no more just a telecom, gadgets. So the third one, very interesting thing I just want to just open your mind is legal landscape. Legal landscape is, I think most of you know about standard essential patents and fair, reasonable and non-discriminatory agreements. So this creates a disputes between SSO, like TEC is a standard setting organization, SSO and the licensee holder. It's going to create a disputes between the licensees and licensors and global collaborative innovations. And today there are 30,000 FRANDs in USA. Out of that, more than 30 have already ended up in disputes. Even in Germany, it is witnessed the technical, FRAND disputes are exponentially increasing. So what is the answer? Lab is the answer. Who can solve this problem? Suppose you go to court, you say like he is using my software. Who has to tell that? It's a lab. So labs business, it is becoming a business case. So I would like to just take you to another video that will talk you about little about how FRAND works.
It's good to share experiences, knowledge, car rides. So why not inventions? Open technology standards allow us to share inventions that foster collaborative innovation, expand consumer choice, and enable market entry and growth. By making licenses to patented inventions available on fair, reasonable, and non-discriminatory or FRAND terms, technology can be shared in a way that balances the needs of those who contribute to open standards and those who implement them. Agreeing licenses on FRAND terms ensures that implementers can incorporate core technologies into their new products, while allowing contributors to be appropriately compensated for the technology they have created and shared, generating royalties that can be invested back into developing next-generation technology standards. Nokia invests almost 20% of our revenues in R&D. a $4 billion annual investment that allows us to continuously develop new inventions and improve open standards, while enabling implementers to create new products without needing to invest in R&D of core technologies. This fosters innovation, market entry, consumer choice, and growth. From 2G to 5G, multimedia to IoT, open standards have led to transformative technologies, better performance, and lower costs. And with 6G on the horizon, licensing standardized technologies on FRAND terms presents limitless opportunities for innovation in connected products and services, and in turn, our daily lives. But only if we share them. So, let's share.
So basically what is happening? Suppose if there is a RAN you are buying from Siemens or Ericsson, and a RAN is one product, it tests only once. But today, Open RAN, it consists of many components. Every component need to go to testing, and component, there is an interconnected interface disputes. Who will solve this? It is not jurisprudence, it is technocracy. It is technoprudence that is going to take the lead in these societies. So as we progress to the new civilization, it is the labs which are going to play very key, vital role in the society. And then market access time, every 1 year, Apple brings a new product. So who can test it? So the rate of growth of devices, rate of growth of technologies are exponentially increasing. We need labs. Startup cannot go to Hong Kong and test its product. So startups need labs here. And MSMEs. A concept is coming now, a test during design. I can't wait until somebody tests after making my product and launch into the market. So even before I market I just launch my product, I should have all certifications in hand during my design itself. So these are the expectations from the OEMs. These are the expectations from the youngsters, startups. So we should be ready in this nation to meet that expectations. And then, so this is what actually is making your labs more and more viable. So according to the research, I told you 1,255 ESG regulations. Each regulation has to be tested and it has to be qualified. So this is giving lot of scope for the test labs. And startups, especially India. I'm just slowly moving towards the concept called why in India. So in startups, there are 25 to 27,000 startups is rising in India. Out of 170 is becoming unicorns. And we are the third largest country in the world for startups unicorns. And apart from that, there are other places like financial sector, cyber regulations. Very interesting thing is there is a SEC regulation, Stock Exchange Commission Regulation 2014. It says that every financial institution which has a network should have a strong resiliency, low latency, and availability. So there are today, even a stock market exchange bells, it has to be first tested by the Telecom labs. And that test certificate is a proof that, no broker can claim any kind of damages on the stock exchanges. So this is the level of that the test importance is growing. Now I will demystify the MTCT impact, whether there is a MTCT, whether or not. The requirement of labs is going to happen. It will be growing exponentially. Similar to the financial sector, there is a health sector, mines, agriculture, everywhere. Everywhere it is governed by the networks, intelligent networks. We need labs. We can't live without labs. Next thing is, so my question is only wireless technologies, wireless testing market. By 2027, there will be 23.7 US billion market potential is there. So labs are still viable. Whether there is MTCT, no MTCT, labs are there. Labs can exist. Labs is a very successful surviving business. So are we alone in this tech cosmos, in this entire area, or anybody else is doing? My colleague has talked about TOS. TOS is one thing that we have conceived in TEC, a lot of deliberations, we wrote papers on this, and we requested IIT Madras to develop that platform. They have done it successfully. So is the TOS, this kind of wireless testing, remote testing, is it something that we are doing on our own, or somebody else is also trying on the planet? Let us see this video, we will understand it.
5G is the future and holds tremendous promise, but getting there is not going to be easy. Different pieces, hardware, software, solutions must come together, and fitting them so they integrate and operate effectively requires an open and collaborative approach. At Dell Technologies, we are committed to driving success for all, including NEPs, ISVs, IHVs, and CSPs, with OTEL, the Open Telecom Ecosystem Lab, a physical and virtual environment that's secure and, yes, truly open. OTEL is an innovation testbed that focuses on certification and integration, making sure all components fit together, as well as solution development and delivery, driving faster time to market. It provides access to equipment, software, solutions, and engineering expertise to drive integrated technology solutions. Use it as a training vehicle for your team or a testing ground to demo new ideas. OTEL encourages collaboration on all fronts to support partner programs, link to industry initiatives, and help develop new and lucrative services for CSPs. And OTEL's new solution integration platform enables partners and CSPs to accelerate and de-risks the design, build, and delivery of 5G solutions using the latest DevOps techniques. Why continue to work furiously in silos when you can align collectively, open up your opportunity that is 5G, because the sum is always greater than the parts. Learn more.
Okay. So, until now, we talked about testing. Let us also look at what kind of certifications will happen. Future testing and certification. Now imagine the opportunities. I challenge everybody. You can open your thoughts and question us. So, information technology, open trust technology provider standards. It is to, so when there is a product that is developed, it is consisting of a lot of certificates. So, who will talk? Who will keep these certificates, and how can we do mitigation of the duplicate products? So this is the mitigation, maliciously tainted and counterfeit. This is a kind of surveillance what we talk about, and this TTPS is designed to mitigate the risk of counterfeit and tainted components to help assure products integrity and supply chain security throughout the life cycle of the product. TEC is coming with a certifying bodies framework. I encourage everybody to apply, and it is a great opportunity. And these certifying bodies eventually will have this kind of TTPS mechanism, so that they will be, when there is a dispute between the SSOs and labs or anybody, these certifying bodies will stand as a witness in the court. So this jurisprudence exists here. So this is the power of the certifying bodies in future. So eventually digital twinning of the certificates, entire product remains in a pocket in the form of certificates. That is a digital twinning of certificates to protect the supply chain security, which is a huge business case in future. So labs, everywhere labs. Without labs, there is no business. And to appreciate this, I would like to show you another small video, just only 3 minutes. You will really appreciate after seeing this video.
Security Matters solution to conflict minerals challenge using IoT Square digital twin blockchain. What if there was a way of verifying the authenticity of an aircraft's part back to its raw material? The metal parts of the aircraft come from ore mined underground. Security Matters technology enables a drop-in, unique and invisible solution for marking raw material. embedded digitally via blockchain to create a trusted bridge between the physical and digital worlds. From mine to refinery. This way, no matter what happens along the way, with Security Matters' supply chain integrity solution, you'll always be able to know if the material came from trusted sources. Or had been compromised, replaced, or faked, ensuring ethical mining. Once the raw material imprinted with Security Matters markers gets turned into the desired alloy, it can be synced with the blockchain to create a traceable signature, the digital twin of the alloy and part of the aircraft. When the alloy gets turned into aircraft parts, it still bears its unique signature. Allowing a global record of physical goods and unparalleled brand liability. In the future, if a part of the aircraft would ever malfunction, you'll always be able to verify its authenticity. And when it comes to recycling the aircraft, the recycler will always have the aircraft's part life cycle liability, ensuring an efficient, cost-saving, and sustainable future for the aircraft. Security Matters' breakthrough technology of blockchain monitoring to enable a circular economy.
So this is how I think you can appreciate now what's the importance of. And one more small slide. This is my final argument, and this is my final conclusion. So now, recycling. For example, you take Apple phones. 30% of the components they are being used recycled today. So these are going to be ESG regulations globally. If India has to prepare to manufacturing and exporting any goods, if we have any idea of thinking like that in this direction, we have to prepare for all these ESG guidelines. See, we are going crazy. We will make in India. You make a product which you can't sell across the globe if you don't follow the ESG guidelines. See, in every new civilization, what happens? There will be new rules in the game. So if we don't predict and understand the new rules, we will remain back. That is what happening to this country. So today, I think we have a very great opportunity to have a great leader for us. So Prime Minister Modi's interest is to encourage us to think in this direction, create this kind of ESG governance based products. So now my final argument to my lab fraternity is, my first question was, can we make it viable? If it's viable, why only in India? So my third question is, why invest in India? India is a telecom test and certification destination. This is my argument. This is my conclusion. My hypothesis. If somebody wants to contradict, yes, you are welcome to question me. Because it is low cost of scales, low infra cost, big digital public infra, largest network in the world. We have largest telecom network, hosting almost global data, largest fintech, lot of digital transactions, largest in the world, great startup ecosystem, large MSMEs. India software testers are known to work proficiently with the various platforms, devices, and software frameworks, and are flexible in scaling up or down based on the project requirements. Testing companies offer 24/7 services. As per survey, that is Quick, I think they have done it, India shall be the #1 market leader in testing. AI will grab all other jobs, but not testing. Future India, after call centers, coding, now it is a testing. If we don't focus on testing, invest on testing, our youngsters will go jobless. Because if we still think that we will have a call centers that is taken already by AI, if you think about that we are expert coders, AI can do coding, but this is one place where we can create employment and we can still work with our citizens. So my ultimate, we love to handhold you, everybody, both OEMs and labs. Please join hands in Atmanar Bharat Bharat efforts. Thank you. Welcome all. So, thank you all for joining this session. I think it's encouraging. We would love to take questions if anybody. Yeah, please. Yeah. You can ask.
Sir, namaskar. Thank you. I think people know me as Professor K. Goyal, Chairman TEMA. Madam, 3 compliments and 2 suggestions. Compliment to you, Madam, personally, because it is after you were joining here that we are going for testing, because this was the idea given by our former Secretary Raja Ramanji. He said in the meeting in TEC, why can't we have something like Ola Uber for testing? So that is the first thing. Second compliment is that yes, this will lead India to become the testing hub for the world. Third compliment to you and the entire team. In fact, the presentation given by Mr. Prasad does not look to be from India. And you have a wonderful team. Every officer is a diamond in a necklace. Now, 2 suggestions. First is that I think as of now, test is meaning for in-country testing by certified NABL labs. Am I right for that? Prasad?
Yeah, you can continue your question and then we'll answer.
So this is the question only.
Okay.
Because then my next session comes on this thing only.
Yeah, see, like as I told you, we are interested to develop the test ecosystem in this country. So that is why we are trying to insist on the laboratories by NABL approved, yeah, accredited. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now my suggestion number 1 is, if we can extend these test facilities to the experts testing facilities available in the OEMs, in the manufacturing industries, they may not be NABL compliant, but they have the facilities that test the things. That was the one suggestion.
Yeah, we already have a called witness testing. So that is, there is no provision. We will do that.
Okay,
Yeah,
I was not doing that.
yes.
Now my second suggestion, Madam, if we can work out on one direction, can we have one India, one standard? Because as of today, the standards made either by TEC or by ITU or by IEEE or by ISO or anybody in the world is not mandatory in India. Not mandatory for the government or for the private. So if we can have this thing, then I think we will be moving speed fast for India as a test hub. Now, my last was the information. 2 information. Sir, Apple is making every year a new phone. I think we dream that Apple doesn't need a certificate or testing. Nobody bothers whether Apple phone is tested or not. And you spoke of SEP and Front. Front and SEP has involved multiple cases in the world for 2 reasons. One, there is a NDA, so nobody tells what is the arrangement he has signed with somebody else. For SEP, there is nobody in the world who declares that this is the SEP. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody wants to react to that?
So I wanted to give the only one answer about the standards. The standards, one nation, one standards. Standards, it's depending upon the applications. Standard is not depending upon the product. If the product, I'm using the same product, it's in different applications area, then standard may differ. So the standards standards, why the maximum standards? For an example, you can talk about in the IEEE standards. IEEE standards, so I'm representing IEEE because I'm in a standard committee of IEEE. So IEEE, they are not a mandatory standard, it's a regulations, it's a guidelines, means it is for the procedures. It is for the procedure. ITU, it's a recommendations. ITU is not a mandatory standards. ITU is a recommendations. Wherever, whenever we don't have any regulated standard, those area we have to adopt the procedure standard. Example, for I can say the jitter and vendor testing for the interfaces, telecom interfaces, jitter and vendor, we don't have any regulated testing. So that's what only we have to use ITUT. Means G standards for sophometric testing. For EMIMC also in a sophometric testing, we have ITUT O.40. So wherever, whenever there is no proper testing, proper standard is regulated, those areas only we are adopted IEEE as well as in ITUT standards, or otherwise we have our regulated HC standards. For in India, we have our IS standards, and TEC, we are adopted the global standard because of when in the standard committee was formed at that time, we are talk about in the standards, the customer needs to be used the same standard. It need to be applicable for an example, if we going to be selling in America or European Union, as well as he is going to be selling what's African Union, the same report going to be accepted. I mentioned that in TEC, means apart from TEC, there is no regulatory body, or the reason there is no designated body in the world mention the multiple standard as options. In 2.4 means I can talk about Bluetooth Wi-Fi, which is the predominantly operated from 2400 to 2480 megahertz. TEC mentioned clearly HCEN 300-328 standard, or the option is FCC Part 15C. Because both are the test and then test method is varies, but they gave the leverage to the manufacturers. Either you can use FCC standards or you can use the HC standards. So it's already we are giving very, very leverage and then optional standards to manufacturers, sir.
Actually, maybe because I was a brief, my question arises. I cannot supply even a plug to US or China without certified by some agency there. In my country, I can import any equipment or any department will procure something based on some specifications. The standards made by BIS or by TEC, if in India or any other body, THDSI, are not mandated. If I have to test my plug also in China, why not in India?
Thank you, sir. Actually, since we are running short of time, we will have offline thorough discussions on this and we'll conclude. And we have given everybody feedback forms. Kindly put your questions, and we want you to challenge our ideas so that we can improve ourselves. So I request everybody to proactively write your, challenge our ideas, challenge us why India should be a test bed, for the world, why it can't be. I really love to receive everybody's. Unless we don't challenge, we don't question, we don't improve ourselves. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate Ms. Sangeeta and from Nigeria and different nations. We have representatives here and lab fraternities and Mr. Goyal, Mr. Gupta from TEPC. Thank you so much for joining us, and all of my colleagues and all the students and fraternity. Thank you so much. I think it is an educative. I think it's a little bit mind-opening. You can start thinking on these lines. If you want to collaborate with TEC, we are already there, always there. We would like to handhold you in all your endeavors. Thank you so much. Thanks for this session. Thank you, ma'am.